Hey folks, welcome back to the farm. We've got a little break in the rain today. We've been getting quite a lot of it. So we're going to do a little walk around and get some stuff done before the rain comes back. So stick around. So it's that time of year when the storm door is open, which we normally get here in Nebraska, but like last year we had a really dry spring, so it didn't happen. But this year we're getting the weather that we should be getting, which means we're getting rain almost every afternoon. When the moisture from the Gulf comes up and mixes with the colder air in the north, we get thunderstorms in the afternoon here in our area. And we're expecting some this afternoon, this evening, but it's nice sunshiny right now. So I had a little weed spray I needed to get done. And even though it's going to rain this evening, it only needs about 3 hours to become permanent where it's going to kill the plants. So we've got that done this morning. I had some morning glory out in the garden that needed to be spot sprayed. I normally don't spray weed spray in the garden because I like to keep it chemical free out there. But the morning glory, if you've ever dealt with that, it roots down clear to China. You can't hardly hoe it out. You hoe it out, it comes right back up. It doesn't care about mulch. It grows right up through the mulch. It's just unstoppable. So we went through and we just spot sprayed wherever the morning glory was to get rid of that. So we're about ready to plant out in the garden, and we don't have to worry about that spot spray because the Roundup glyphosate that we use has no residual effect in the ground. It'll only kill something that's got green foliage on it. It doesn't hurt anything that hasn't sprouted yet or anything like that. There's no pre-emergent or any of that, so we don't have to worry about that. So let's show you the plants in the greenhouse that we're getting ready to put out. So you remember, this is all the stuff that we planted, and remember we had some losses, but some of it sprouted right back because there were seeds that were not sprouted yet. So you can see we still have plenty of stuff to put out in the garden because I always plant extra. And then I up potted my jalapenos yesterday. We've got all the tomatoes up potted back there. We've got some pepper plants that we purchased in town, some sweet peppers. I still need to up pot the habaneros. I don't think our hatch chilies are going to come up because they were roasted chilies. It was pretty much an experiment to see if I could get them to grow, but no bueno. So we have a watermelon back there that popped up, actually 2 of them. So that'll be plenty. 2 watermelon vines is plenty. We've got a cantaloupe, which is good. We've got our cucumbers right here. We got a butternut squash and an acorn squash, which is all we need because those plants go crazy. We've got 4 broccoli plants. We've got 1 cauliflower. The rest of them didn't make it. And then Brussels sprouts, we have like 6 of them. Got plenty of cabbage, plenty of celery. We've been thinning the celery as we go. We've got plenty of zucchini. And then all of our herbs are coming up. Even our thymes and basil's coming up here. Our dill's up. So we've got plenty of stuff to put out in the garden. And then Kelly bought some extra flowers that she plants around that she has not started downstairs. But we'll show you what she's got going downstairs too. Now a couple of the pepper plants, looks like 6 of them, that we got from the nursery. When it got warm here in the greenhouse one day, it's like they burnt back. I thought they were dead. But they're actually all putting out new leaves. So we'll have extra sweet peppers this year. And then we had a tomato, Sweet 100 tomato, because I only had a couple that germinated. So I bought a little 4-pack of Sweet 100s, but they're coming back also. They got burnt back. But after that, my Sweet 100s germinated. So we actually got some Sweet 100s. So I'm going to turn this fan back on. I actually got a louvered fan, a greenhouse fan that I purchased. It showed up. I have it in the box. So in the next couple days, I'm going to install that here in the greenhouse. We'll probably cover that. But this fan in the window doesn't push as much air as I would like. And the new fan is going to be more of an exhaust fan, so it'll blow warm air out, and then the cool air will come in through our vents that we have on automatic closers in here. So it'll be more automatic, and the louvers will close up. I won't have to keep the windows open per se during the day. And then the transition period, which we had a few weeks ago where it's too cold at night and too hot during the day, I want to make it more automatic so I can put the heater on a thermostat to where it's plugged in, and then I want to hardwire the fan. It's got a thermostat as well, so when we reach the high end, it will kick on by itself. The only thing I might need to put in is more air intake, because I don't know if we can get enough airflow through these vents. So they sell a louver that's just like the one on the fan, and it'll actually open up when it creates a negative pressure in the greenhouse. Those louvers will open and allow air to come into the greenhouse without letting the cold air in, because they'd be closed at night. So that'll be a lot more automatic, and we won't have the loss that we had this year. But again, I always plan extra planning for these things. Before we go in and I show you Kelly's flowers down in the basement, let's look at the fruit trees and look at the progress we got on those. Here's one of our pluots that came from California. You can see it's leafing out. All of our orchard trees here are leafing out nicely. Look at this cherry over here, going crazy. Love to see that. And then this is our other pluot here from California. One of the ones that my buddy got me, it's called a Dapple Dandy. The variety did not survive the trip, so he's going to try to get me another one of those grafted off of his, actually air layered, and bring it with him, because they're going to come visit here in a little over a month. They'll be here visiting. Here's our other cherry. And then got high hopes for the apples, because they're just now blooming out. These have blooms. You can see them here on the end. They're starting to push, and the bees will come in here and pollinate these, so maybe we'll get some Honeycrisp apples this year. Got a possibility if we don't get crazy freeze. You can see our blooms here, if the camera will focus. Doesn't look like it wants to participate today, but that's our blooms. You can see our apples out there in full bloom. The bees have been crazy in that tree. You can also see we're getting a good push with the weeds here in the garden, but the mulch is doing its job. We still got to mulch the onions here. The only thing I've been having to weed is the onion row. But once this gets dry enough to get the rototiller in here, we'll bring it in. We'll take care of all these middles, and those weeds will not sprout again, because those seeds are spent, and we'll be tilling them in long before the seeds produce on the weeds. We'll show you the peas over here. Peas are looking good. We'll go through and do their final thinning here in the next couple days. We got the other variety of peas over here. So we got a good jump start on the peas. Real happy with that. We've been picking asparagus. We've got a good bunch for dinner. We'll come out tonight and pick what else is up, and then we'll have a good batch of asparagus for dinner. Here's the apple blossoms out here on the big trees. I don't know if you can hear the bees up in the trees. They're doing their job. If we don't get another freeze, there's a good chance we'll get some fruit this year. We'll be real happy about that. So let's go in and I'll show you Kelly's flowers. Here's all of Kelly's flowers here in the basement that she's propagated, along with some cilantro and some spinach down there. But she's going to start hardening these off. She's going to pull them up here out of the basement, and she's going to start hardening these things off. And then probably by next weekend she'll be able to plant all of this stuff but she's done a real good job down here. Can't really tell the color because of these pink grow lights. Here's our lettuces and our bok choy. Remember, the freeze got this too. So we have some more lettuce coming up. We have some lettuce mix and some butter crunch, and then a little bit of bok choy over here, not much. This little bit of kale here will fill in this whole tub. You can see we're going to have some spinach here in a little bit. And we had another rose come out of dormancy. We didn't think that was going to make it, but it is. So we got 2 roses. We already got a place for one of them. Kelly's chocolate mint is coming back with a vengeance. I hope it doesn't start growing up inside the shop. Mint is pretty invasive if you've never grown it. Ruby. So she's got quite a bit of it in here. You can see the base of our grapevine starting to push runners, which means these upper parts of the grapes will be pushing fairly soon. We'll just snap that off down there because we don't want that. In our herb tub here, the chives come back on their own every year. They don't need to be replanted, and we've already been using those. The basil looks like it's coming back from seed, but all of our other herbs in here are pretty much annuals. We already have stuff planted in the greenhouse to put in here. And I think we're going to put some out in the garden this year too. And then our rhubarb that we transplanted 2 years ago, it didn't come up last year, but it come up this year. So we're real happy that we have that there. It's the good red colored rhubarb. And then Kelly's flowers, some of them that she had planted around the grain bin here, are coming back up. I don't know what variety these flowers are. If you're interested in what they are, since they can take the cold 30 below and still come back, you could PM her on Facebook and she could probably tell you what these are. Our strawberry shortcake raspberry bush here, it's coming back, but for some reason it just doesn't thrive, and we've never got any berries off of it. And it's not growing off of the old growth traditionally like a berry would, where you'd get the berries. On most berries you don't get berries until the second year, and they come on the old growth. But we'll see. It was okay to plant in this zone, but we don't know if it's going to ever produce or not. Our clematis is coming out of hibernation. If you didn't know, clematis will grow again on the old vines, so don't tear the old dead looking vines out, because they re-sprout off of the old vines. And these will be some beautiful flowers out here in not too long. This whole thing will be covered with flowers. Kelly's hostas are back again. They're looking good. They've got really good established roots now, so they come back real nice. The dogs like to lay on this one here, so it has a tough time. And then Ruby likes to play with these rocks. The little decoration here that Kelly's mom left us when she was here. Ruby likes to grab those rocks and carry them around. Kelly's constantly having to put these back. This is our lavender that we put in the garage during the winter because it doesn't freeze in the garage and it always comes back. We like lavender. It's edible type lavender. If you've never had lavender sugar cookies, you need to try those. And then all of our roses here in the front bed are coming back, looking real good. There's a story behind every one of these roses here that the previous owner can tell you. I need to write down all this info one of these days. Kelly remembers better than I do. But every one of these roses has a story. Kelly's got some of her annuals planted out here on the front bench. All the bulbs here on the north side of the house are coming up, and then Kelly's got a hydrangea planted right here that's coming back. All of the Chinese elms that are left have all leafed out, but this honey locust and the oak in the corner are always the last ones to show leaves. You can see the honey locust here is just now coming out of being dormant over the winter. That'll be a beautiful tree once it's leafed out. I think eventually I want this evergreen to go away, but we haven't decided yet. There was another big gnarly one here that I took out so we could see across the road and have a little bit of view here. That was a good decision. Oh, I had to do a wardrobe change. It's getting a little warm out here for cotton t-shirts. My dad wore these shirts all his life. They're really thin, like the Western style shirts. And I wish I would have known when I was younger, or he would have told me when I was young, because I always wore cotton t-shirts. Wonder why I was sweating so much. These are so nice. And then Dad always cut the sleeves off as soon as they got home from the store. That was his thing. This is what he wore pretty much all his life, is these shirts. He had to have the snaps as well. These snaps that you can just pull apart. You don't have to button them. Had to have the snaps. So, Pop, I wish you'd have told me back then that this is the coolest way in both senses. You look pretty cool back in the day, and it's a pretty cool shirt. So we got a lot done this morning. I'll show you this fan that came in yesterday. This is what it looks like right here. It's got a little controller. It's got a thermostat with the fan speed and all that, but it's got the louvers. And that's what we're going to put in the greenhouse. That'll be real nice. We won't have to watch things as close. We won't have to go out in the morning and open the windows and turn the fan on and go back out in the evening and turn it off, close everything up. So that'll be a nice addition. And then plus when we get the heater worked up right, and then I think I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna buy another one of these just plain louvers to allow the airflow to come in. So hope you enjoyed our little garden update today. With all this rain, things are just looking beautiful out here. You can see the backyard looks gorgeous, and the front yard here, and then the hills on the other side. Everything's looking so nice. It's real nice out here in the grain bin looking out over the hills. So we're going to call it a wrap on this video. I have a recipe that I'm going to do for you, which it'll either play before this video or after. It'll be right around that time. We're going to make a rhubarb cobbler because it's rhubarb season. So if you want to see that, stick around. So till then, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us here on Mark Kelly Farm. There's going to be a lot going on.